Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everyone, this is Manarmi or Mimi, and in today's video I'm going to talk about yet another bookish series that I really loved and I would love to recommend to you. I'm going to talk about Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children series today. This series is written by Ransom Riggs, whom I love so much, and I have read 7 books of his so far, and they all follow up on a very specific theme, which is the theme of peculiars, which he created or came up with. First of all, it is fair to say that the author stopped writing after 3 books. So the first 3 came together and they were supposed to be a trilogy, but then he continued on the series and now it is 6 books. So if you happen to have the first 3, you can safely read it. It is no problem at all, but if you have the other 3, I would suggest you continue the series. There is also this book here, which is The Tales of the Peculiar, and it's a collection of short stories that have to do with that concept of peculiars. I have this book in hardcover and it looks very elegant and beautiful. I think this is suitable for the people who like reading, who are good at English, but they don't want to read series and like longer books and stuff. So I think this would be perfect, and the English in here is very sophisticated. It's very beautiful, very well written. It has this thing over here. This is so legit. Even the inside looks like vintage wallpaper. And before every tale there is a picture, which is something I really liked about this. And let me tell you, it is a collection of short stories, but these stories are not for the faint-hearted. They are not. For those of you who don't prefer horror, it's not for you who prefer romance, it's not for you who are young and you don't want to read something like this. Just beware, because it's not a cute concept, if you know what I mean. When it comes to peculiars and what they are, who they are, they're basically people who are different from other people. So for example, some of them are too strong, some of them are too small, some of them are too big, some of them can swim in the water better than average humans, if you know what I mean. And in this case, I think they call the humans normals and them peculiars, because you can be either or, normal or peculiar. And I think this is very unique. He created a concept for his whole series to go on with, and I love it so much. It is like the Grisha theme for Lee Bardugo, or the concept of dreams for Maggie Stiefvater, or the angels and demons and vampires and whatever, etc., for Cassandra Clare, or the concept of the Fae for Holly Black. Every author goes with like a certain or particular concept and they just play with it however they'd like, but in this case the author created a concept for himself, which I really appreciate. The first thing that I will talk about is how the book looks, which I find pretty inspiring for me. So the spine looks like this. It is an olive color and it is pretty normal. It looks like any vintage book, if you know what I mean. It is nothing special by any means, but that is exactly why I like it. And then you flip it over and boom, like it has a black and white vintagey vibe to it, which I am obsessed with. And when you open this book, oh my god, like I will never forget the first time I opened this and checked like the contents of it. Oh my god, like it's so cool. I'll just flip over so that you see very quickly without any spoilers. Do you see the photographs? Oh my god, that's just pretty cool, you know, like you can see what you're reading about, which is very amazing for me. Now, just for reference, let me read you the synopsis of the book, and if you don't want to read the synopsis, then you can skip to this timestamp that I will leave right here so that you hear me talk about my thoughts in general about the concept and how it fits with actual history. A mysterious island, an abandoned orphanage, a strange collection of peculiar photographs. It all waits to be discovered in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, an unforgettable novel that mixes fiction and photography in a thrilling reading experience. As our story opens, a horrific family tragedy sets 16-year-old Jacob journeying to a remote island off the coast of Wales, where he discovers the crumbling ruins of Miss Peregrine's home for peculiar children. As Jacob explores its decaying bedrooms and hallways, it becomes clear that Miss Peregrine's children were more than just peculiar. They may have been dangerous. They may have been quarantined on a deserted island for a good reason. And somehow, impossible though it seems, they may still be alive. Now, before we start talking about the book, I will tell you that this series does have a movie, but I personally don't like or didn't like the movie because the movie only talks about the whole thing in one movie, where you have 6 books to talk about, at least 3 books. So it was very, you know what I mean, like everything was packed in one movie, which obviously wouldn't be right. And some of the characters were older than they should be, so I just didn't find that appealing. But the books, in my opinion, are much better, and I hope they release them in many other languages so that more people could enjoy them. The interesting thing about the series that I really liked was that it managed to merge actual history with the content of the story, or the peculiarity of the story, which I really loved. I love these kind of vintagey, historic vibes to any kind of story, and this just does it for me, and I love that vibe. Just the vibe alone, I just liked it so much. As for the covers, it is known to have some of the most horrific covers ever. Like, there is a hole in the girl, like there is a hole in there, which most people would be like, oh my god, no, never. But for me, those things just grab my attention like magnet. I love them so much, and these covers made me want to get the whole thing, so there's that. But in order for me to tell you what is happening without spoiling stuff, of course, in case you haven't listened to the synopsis, there's a boy and there's his grandfather, and this is how things start, this is how things go. The character development is crazy. It's crazy. Like, people, or like the characters in the books, change completely. Like, they go from something to another. Like, I can't even start to tell you how great the everything is, how connected everything is. It is so underrated in my opinion. I love this with passion, and I think one of my favorite parts was that there is so much diversity in these peculiars, since they don't belong to a particular race. They are everywhere. Anyone around you could be peculiar, and this book gets you thinking that, oh, there are so many not normal people in the world as is. And for me, I don't consider myself to be normal at all, because I speak more than one language and I love doing many things, and this gets you thinking, what is peculiar and what is normal? What is the norm for us? And for me, I thought about that a lot, and I found out that each and every human being could be peculiar in their own way, if you know what I mean. And it was fascinating how some books could get you thinking this deeply, if you know what I mean. And the collection of short stories for me, like, were a highlight, because they talk about things that we don't consider, like when you judge someone, what sort of way do they feel, and what would happen if you don't judge and you just stand by these people, and what there are so many what ifs that you could think about while reading the series and the collection of stories, which I would suggest you read the collection of stories, The Tales of the Peculiar, before you start reading the series. But yeah, it just takes you to a world where you can't even, wow. Like, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you check this series out if you're interested in stuff like this. I hope you give the concept of peculiars a try, because I personally really enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and healthy, and bye.